everybody. Good morning. Welcome to a Saturday edition of Morning Scone, presented by Brock or Brock, Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic, and Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Hope y'all have an awesome, or having an awesome start to your Saturday, awesome start to your weekend. LSU was on the practice field yesterday for the first time in fall camp. Of course, that took place while I was on air, but we got our practice report from Zach Von Rosenberg. Looking forward to that throughout fall camp. If you missed it, of course, for years, Jordy did our practice reports. Can't do that anymore. And we had the awfully spliced together Jordy Collada, if you like Jordy Collada song. And so we did, for Zach Von Rosenberg, the number one punna instead of the number one stunner. If you missed it, don't next time. All right, let's see. Let's say some good mornings here. See what y'all got here as we head into this weekend. Saints practicing. Saints will play their first preseason game on a week from today. LSU will have their first scrimmage in Tiger Stadium a week from today. And we are officially 4 weeks away from LSU opening up against UCLA on the Rose Bowl. All right, let's say some good mornings here. Tim Gautreaux, John Melanson. Good morning, Matt. How's Drew? Drew's doing well. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. He and Erica are still sleeping, so let them get their rest. Trivia Carter, good morning. Joey Vincent, Bubba Tatum, good morning. Good morning. By the way, if you're there on YouTube, please smash the like button. Jason Aguilar, good morning. Kelly Gross, good morning. Hey, Dad, good morning. Kirk Taylor, good morning. Dad says, yes, you were a national forms champion in Taekwondo. So yesterday on AFR, Terrio was basically criticizing the difference with like Taekwondo or karate or judo. And he's like, they're all the same. Like, no, they're not. And I was explaining that judo is a lot of throws and karate is predominantly kicks, or Taekwondo is predominantly kicks. Anyway, and he couldn't get that. And he's like, you don't know? I was like, yeah, I do, because I did Taekwondo when I was a kid, and I was a freaking national forms champion in Taekwondo, and I was. And that's, I was yelling on air. I was like, call my dad. I was like, call my dad. He'll tell me. I was like 8 or 9 years old. It was a long time ago, but I was. Kelly Presley, good morning. Kirk, nice to see videos of camp. Yeah, man. Apparently Sage Ryan had a good day, had an interception yesterday, which is good. And they're working with him returning kicks. So I'm for it. You got a lot of athletic guys. Let them figure out a way to get them all on the field. And you want to put the ball in those guys' hands, I'm with it. Just not Derek Stingley, please. Do not need Derek Stingley returning punts. Truax, good morning. Chris Williams, good morning, Scone and family. Thank you, Chris. Good morning to you and yours. Jason Aguilar, DT redshirt freshman Eric Taylor left the team. Well, you know what? That happened last night. That doesn't surprise me. The timing kind of does, because if you're Eric Taylor, and if well, I mean, I don't know. Like, I have no idea why he left. If you know, I mean, kid from Alabama who signed last year, didn't play much. It doesn't look like anything happened. I mean, I haven't heard anything like wrong there, but it's one of those things where I don't know why you enter the transfer portal now. I mean, you missed your window to be able to play this season, transfer and be immediately eligible. So now, because you waited, you got to sit out. It's like, I don't really get that. I guess he could go down in classification and play, but man, but it makes sense competitively because when Farrell and Logan came back, and then you've also got Joseph Evans, and then Roy and Guillory, who both played ahead of Taylor last year, that's 5 defensive linemen ahead of you, defensive tackles. And then let's go ahead and assume Mason Smith is in there. That's 6. I mean, you're the 7th defensive tackle, bro. You ain't playing, Now, that's one of those things where you wish that guy would be patient, because if he waited through this year and you lose Farrell and Logan and maybe Evans, then you're in the rotation by year 3 and could be a starter by year 4. Some guys don't want to wait. Hey, Don Jolibois, good morning. Let's see, Jason's so ready for some LSU football. Lord, it's almost here, man. Patrick Kason, good morning. Terrio is so damn funny. But I don't know, he was saying something yesterday, got some people riled up because, man, I was, maybe it was his theory on how you determine if you have a boy or a girl. But, man, I went back, I was reading some, Facebook messages, some emails later, and they're like, man, bleep Terrio, he's going off the deep end. I'm like, what are you talking about? Maybe that? Samuel Merrifield, been watching Olympics, haven't watched 1 minute. I do check them out. Wait, been watching Olympics, haven't watched 1 minute. I do check the medal count. Okay. I mean, the thing about the Olympics is nobody in this, I shouldn't say nobody, there are people that play those sports, but the majority of our country doesn't care about those sports. We don't watch track and field but once every 4 years. We don't watch swimming and diving but once every 4 years. We don't watch gymnastics but once every 4 years. With respect to the LSU gym team, you know what I mean. International competition. We don't watch cycling or any of this stuff. But the reason you care is because it's your country and you're cheering for your country and the storylines of the athletes. That's what you watch. But yeah, so I mean, if you don't watch because you don't care about the sports, okay. People watch not because they care about the sports. People watch because they care about their country and they want to watch the USA win. I watched basketball last night. Joe Richard, what's your early thoughts on the UCLA game? So, line opened up at 2, Joe. It went to 4. I think it might be at 4.5 now. And I do think it's going to get up near a touchdown. I think it's sneaky. I think UCLA is a sneaky team this year. I think LSU wins that game, by the way. I'm not saying that. But they have a 4-year starter at quarterback. UCLA does. They returned their entire offensive line. And that was a team that, even though their record last year wasn't very good, they played a lot of really close games. They gagged away the USC game. They had USC beat, and SC scored with 15 seconds left. I mean, SC put together a touchdown drive with under a minute to go in the game. They got the ball with under a minute to go, went and scored. They lost in double overtime to Stanford. And then they played a really close game against Colorado and a really close game against Oregon, and they lost both of them. I guess my point is, they were, you go from, getting blown out to being really competitive and being in games to starting to win some of those games. So, and they play week 0. They play at home against Hawaii the week before LSU goes there. So they're going to have had a week ahead of LSU to play. And, the old adage, biggest improvements week 1 to week 2. So that's sneaky is my point. I mean, I think LSU wins that game. But don't be totally surprised if that's not a whitewashing like many people think it's going to be. Let's see. Jason, we are stacked at D-line. You got a lot of bodies there, no doubt. I hope Logan stays healthy. Logan and Farrell at their best, I think, are really good starting interior players. Jaquelin Roy, I think, has potential to be an all SEC type player. Real excited to see Mason Smith, obviously. I think I really love to see consistency, not even so much at tackle this year, but at end. When Ali Gay looked good last year, he looked like a monster. He looked like a first-round draft pick. But then he would disappear for a long time. Andre Anthony's back for a senior year, the second senior year. So another veteran guy who I think is much better suited for a 4-3. And then B.J. Ojulari, let's see year 1 to year 2 if you just can't justify keeping him off the field because he's that good. Let's see. Jump back over to YouTube for a second. Sorry. Pat Huseman, good morning. Nicholas Cantrell, good morning from Hutchinson, Kansas. What's up, man? German Foo Gaming, what's up? Good morning, Matt. Seems like the Saints defensive ends will be okay. Do you think they can patch together some interior strength to actually be a good front this year? They need to add another tackle. They have to add a starting caliber defensive tackle. I went through these numbers earlier this week. The only players they have on their defensive line that have played in an NFL game are Tuttle, Roach, and 95. This is the problem, right? Can't remember the guy's name. They only got 3 guys on the defensive line that played in an NFL game. That's a problem. So they have got to go add another starting caliber defensive lineman. I wouldn't mind if they went and got Kawan Short. Josh Blackman, morning. How do you think time will be split between the Saints quarterbacks during the preseason games? I don't know how they're going to do that. Isn't it so weird because we haven't ever seen them have to have a competition in preseason. It's always been Breeze, so you just let Drew go run a set 15 plays or whatever it is and then get him out of there. I would go half and half, like first half, second half, and then switch the next game and then make your determination who's your start. Well, James, Tim Gocho, only returns I want to see Stingley make are ones after he makes a pick. True. Joseph Norton, morning, Matt. Tried that Cane's Parish Lemonade IPA yesterday. Pretty tasty. Great for cutting grass. Yeah, it is light for an IPA. That's the coleslaw beer. No slaw extra toast. Mark Allen, morning, Matt. Checking on the guy who watches and gives a thumb down every day. Oh, man. He's there again. For those that don't know what he's referring, so if you're watching on Facebook, if on YouTube you can either do like a thumbs up or a thumbs down, and every day there's somebody who hits a thumbs down. Like it's always like all thumbs up. Oh no, there's 2 thumbs downs, and like one guy comes in every day. He must have like notifications set on his phone just to jump on here to hit a thumbs down, and he doesn't. But the irony is, the interaction alone boosts my post. So, thank you, but whatever. Can you imagine living rent-free in someone's head like that? To where you purport to hate somebody so much that you set notifications on your phone to go out of your way to hit a thumbs down on a YouTube channel. I just can't understand it. I can't understand being that unhappy in life. Shoot, man, I always say do what makes you happy. If you love to watch something or listen to something, do that regardless of what people say. I can't imagine. I can't imagine being that unhappy in life. Carl the Cat, how about Greg Dykman? Yep, made his debut yesterday. So Dykman played for the Cubs yesterday in a matinee against the White Sox. They did lose in extras, which I need the Cubs to lose for my bourbon bet with Chihuili. But Dykman got his first career hit, little bloop single over the second baseman's head. But good for him, man. That's awesome. How do we get a JUCO quarterback now that we have a spot? You don't. you would have to have somebody walk onto the team, and also is there a JUCO quarterback you feel better about than the guy you recruited in Matt O'Dowd, right? So you've got your 2 scholarship guys, and then Matt O'Dowd is a preferred walk-on from the from the Tampa area, from Stoneman Douglas. I mean, and he's on the team as a preferred walk-on. So, you thought enough of him to offer him a spot as a walk-on. And, I mean, I think that's a better option than a JUCO guy. So, roll with what you got, man. Kenneth Martin, morning Matthew, morning Brock, morning Hudco, morning number 15, morning Bourbon Shelf. In your opinion, the poor depth across the O-line is due to poor recruiting, poor development from James. James would be James Craig. Both. I think you've had some misses in recruiting, but like the fact that Charles Turner, I'll just give you an example. The fact that Charles Turner isn't ready to play, and you had to go get Liam Shanahan from Harvard, who you thought was just going to be a depth guy, just another body, and he ends up being your starting center, a position he hadn't played ever. Like, that's a problem. When you recruited a guy to be a center and he couldn't take that job. And then you had also worked with Chase and Hines at snapping the football, and he couldn't beat out Shanahan. Like, that's a problem, like, on both fronts. So I really, really hope that's my biggest on offense, my biggest hope this year and need for this year and next year too is you've got to develop depth because you're losing everybody. You're losing everybody on that offensive line after this year. So you've got to have that next group ready to roll for next year. And I know you're bringing in Will Campbell, and he could be a starter as a freshman, big 5-star offensive lineman. Maybe Garrett Dellinger steps up. You got to find guys, but you got to develop that depth this year for sure. Merrick Mathern, morning, Matt. Like button smash, thank you. Jonathan Martin, good morning. Tim Gautreau, Coach O is obviously the thumbs down guy. I think he's got a few more things going on right now. Don't worry about that. Brett Dagro, Matt, who you got in UFC 265? I'm going to take Lewis. And Shaq hates Matt. This is Shaq O'Neal, and I hate Matt. Trivia, thumbs down bandit is Kirk. He's a little sensitive from losing his moderator status. Oh, man. As always, shout out to Brock, y'all. Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Brock, right there inside of the Surgical Specialty Center on Bluebonnet. After Hours Clinic is open today. And, of course, Hudco Roofing, HudcoRoofing.com. Love the opportunity to give you a free, no-obligation roofing inspection. HudcoRoofing.com, HudcoRoofing.com. Paul Batts, good morning from Houston. Scott Tomplay, sucks for Stores, too. Medical retirement, saw that. So Nick Stores came to LSU with an awful lot of promise on the baseball diamond. Injuries prevented him from ever getting his baseball career going. Moved over to football, was going to play tight end, and got on the field a bit last year, but he'll have a medical retirement now. That's another spot they're thin, man. You've got, because Jalen Shedd transferred as well, so you've got Cole Taylor. Aaron Moffitt is back, remember. Aaron has battled some injuries. He had an ACL tear. But Aaron's back. And then they moved Jack Besh to tight end. Boy, unless there's someone obvious that I'm forgetting, I think that's it. So you are going to need to get some production out of those guys. You need those guys to stay healthy too. Jason, I'm thinking 100% Mason Smith will start. Your thoughts? He's not going to start. You've got 2 seniors there with Logan and Farrell. And then you've got Jaquelin Roy and Jacoby and Guillory ahead of him as well. He'll be in the rotation, but he's not going to start. He won't start a game this year. Mark McCarter, what is Ensminger's title this year? he's not on the staff. So it's more, candidly, I had a conversation last week. Steve hasn't been in the football building since he retired. So he doesn't really have a role. Paul Batts, watching the Horns and Aggies fans in Houston fight like school kids has been a lot of fun. Oh, man. They are going to be like, when Texas comes into the league, that is going to be like the brother and sister that are, or brother and brother that are always fighting, and the rest of the family is just like, shut up. Like, everyone's going to get so annoyed with those two. I'm surprised he didn't say kick rocks to the girl that used to be a boy that won the gold medal in weightlifting. Oh, God. Jeff McKithen, good morning. Let's see, Paul, I watched the Texas Relays. It's a great event for pro and college. Listen, you're talking about, I said nobody watched the Olympics. My point is, like, we don't really, as a nation, care, except for once every 4 years. So does that mean Storrs won't play football? He's going back to the no, he's done. Storrs had already left baseball. He's medical retirement. He's done, which means he can stay in school on scholarship, but he won't play. LSU Terrell Wild, good morning. Can't wait to see the young wide receivers play. I agree. Chris Hilton looked pretty good in that 17 yesterday. Scott, Tom Play, gave up. Yeah, okay. That's about Storrs. Yeah, Storrs is not going back to baseball. He's done with baseball. He moved over to football full time, and with a medical retirement, he can stay on scholarship in school and not count against the 85 for football. Trey Goodwin, good morning, Matt and Fathead Druzy. Matt, could you please give your thoughts on realistically what Max could have done in the offseason or could do to improve his deep ball? The deep threat has to be part of the offense. Thank you. I'll hang up and listen. I don't know if you mean just like accuracy or arm strength. I mean, you can't fabricate arm strength. You either have it or you don't. And I don't know that it's a problem for Max to be able to put the ball up with fast receivers that can run and get themselves open. But a big part, and Trey, like I haven't gone back and watched like cut-ups, but I would assume also a big part of not stretching the field last year at times was your offensive line wasn't very good. So you have to give your quarterback time if he's going to hit a 5 or 7 step drop. And that just wasn't part of what LSU did last year, man. So I think a big part of that as anything was keep as a freshman, keeping him comfortable, giving him things he can handle, and then also your offensive line. I think all that's interwoven. But I agree with you. I agree with you. I mean, you've got to be able to stretch the field. I think they will. I mean, and on the flip side, they scored 52 points against Ole Miss, and Kayshon Boutte had over 300 receiving yards. I mean, they were effective. Adam Miley, good morning. Can't wait to wake up to college football Saturday. Same. John, it just feels different, I know, when you wake up on football Saturday. Like, you know what I mean? Like when you wake up and you just know it's a football Saturday and you're going to spend your day watching football. And yeah, those are fun days. John Morris, who's got the best defense in the SEC this year? Bama, Georgia. Well, you could probably throw A&M in there as well, man. I think A&M is going to be really good defensively. And any reason why they're projected to win 10 games or anything like that is because I think they've got a really good defense and like an elite defense, and their schedule is favorable. Their East opponents this year are South Carolina and Missouri. So it's one of those years where they catch a break on the East. And Colorado is their Power 5 non-conference. So, you know, that's obviously far more beneficial than when they were playing Clemson with the home and home. So, I mean, yeah, you know, I'm not sold on A&M as like a championship contender or championship caliber team, but I think they could have a 9 or 10 win season because of the schedule and their defense. Chris Williams, could Traquan Smith be the Saints' secret weapon and have a breakout year? I hope he can. I was high on him coming out of the 2018 draft class. Chris, I'm done with Traquan Smith. If you missed it, did a whole segment on AFR a couple days ago on Traquan. He was injured again. He's injured again. If ever there was a wide open door for you to step through, this is it. I mean, even last year with Mike Thomas missing half the season, it was his opportunity to take a giant step forward, and he didn't. He's just not going to. It's a bust. You wasted a third round pick on him. Like, that's all there is to it. He's soft. He's injury prone. He's just not very good. You drafted the athlete, and not the football player. He's not a very good football player. Richie Mercer, as a Chicago Cubs fan, it's great to see a former Tiger in the lineup. I hope Dykeman can stick around for a while. I mean, like that, as bad as that team is right now, after fire sale on the whole thing, he should. All he's got to do is hit. Talked about that yesterday with Terry on air. All he's got to do is hit. Don't be afraid to take walks and just hit the ball on the line. Don't try to hit everything 500 feet. Just hit the ball on the line and take your walks, and he'll stay up there. It's one of the podcast bros. Charlie Gale, good morning. Brian Robert, Scone, been a long time. Where you been, Brian? Welcome back, man. Glad to have you. Jason, you got Max's little brother, tight end. He's a high school senior, Jason. He's not on the team right now. I mean, you've got 2 tight ends committed for next year. You got Max Johnson's brother, and then you also got Mason Taylor committed as well, Jason Taylor's son. But that's for the class of 2022. I'm talking about on the roster right now. I saw Ensminger at the Exxon on Gardier and Highway 30 by my house. Great guy. Yeah, Steve, they live over there. Yeah, near there. Steven Stokes, full pads coming soon for the Tigers. Tight end looks like a depth problem. We'll find out who bubbles up for receivers 2, 3, 4. Well, I asked Von Rosenberg that yesterday, and he agreed with me. I think Jure is your number 2. I think 3 and 4 becomes really interesting because you've got John Trey Kirkland and Coy Moore, guys who played well for you a year ago. And then you throw all those freshmen in there, and you've got Chris Hilton and Brian Thomas, and Alex Adams is still there from a year ago. I mean, you got Trey Palmer. I mean, you still got dudes. It's not really a, Steven, it's not really an if. It's just a matter of who. It's not if someone's going to step up, but just which one it's going to be. That's the real fun part. Tight end, you got a problem there with depth. I mean, there's no doubt. You just, you got a problem there. I mean, that goes back to something I've talked about is a legitimate criticism with this staff has been poor roster management. It's why having Austin Thomas back is helpful, extremely helpful. But you should never be in the situation they're in right now with tight end, where a former baseball player coming over to football, getting a medical retirement, is crushing to your depth, and you're converting a freshman receiver to tight end. Come on. Charlie Cavell, good morning. What's the real story behind the 2 decommitments? Well, Jacoby Matthews, I told you, that's an NIL thing. I mean, there are programs out there giving kids offer sheets. Basically guarantees of what they'll make in NIL. So, Jacoby's a 5-star, and he's got a lot of buddies who are those elite 5-star guys, and they talk. And so, it's no surprise that Bama and A&M were not in his final 6 when he committed to LSU. And after he decommitted, he spent the weekend at A&M, and now Bama's in the mix as well. You figure it out. And there's nothing wrong with it. You just got to play the game. And then A.J. Johnson, the receiver from Newman, I don't know why he decommitted. He's a 4-star. He's moving down to West Palm Beach to play senior year in the state of Florida. I don't know. I don't know why he decommitted. Brian Robert, behind Booty and Moore, who else can be a big contributor wide receiver? I'm sure I'm forgetting someone too. Well, again, Jure Jenkins is going to be your number 2. So Booty, Jure Jenkins will be your 2. Kirkland, Palmer, Moore, and then you got Alex Adams, who was a freshman a year ago as well, didn't play a ton, but then you got all the freshmen this year. You got a ton of guys, man. That's not a problem. Father John David III, good morning. What camp is making you feel better, Saints or Tigers? Well, LSU just has one practice. But I guess I would say LSU because I don't feel great about the Saints right now. Their lack of depth, quality depth is showing. Brian Robert will say Ryan get on the field. Most definitely. It's just a matter of in what role. Interestingly enough, they had him playing yesterday at backing up Cordell Flott as the nickel. So, I mean, if that's how you got to get him on the field, move him around and see where he fits to get him on. Don't go on Texags radio and say the Aggies won't contend. Lucci and Olin Buchanan are going to get you. I like those guys a lot, too. But you also have to understand what fan sites are. Like, fan sites are there to give the most rabid of the fans exactly what they want. Like, those people aren't seeking information. They're seeking affirmation. Like, that's why you go to those sites. God bless Derek Panamsky when he ran Bayou Bengals Insider for the 5 years or whatever, probably longer than that he ran that website. Every Friday, whenever they would give their game picks, he never picked against LSU. Like, ever. I think in 5 years, he never picked against LSU. I mean, it's just, you're playing to the crowd. I mean, that's all it is. Let's see. Jason, the two freak freshmen coming in. Deontay Harris, Josh Carlos, Deontay Harris will have a breakout year. That I agree with. Should have a LSU dad's team. Moss, Brad Johnson, Jason Taylor, yeah. Karl Malone. You can go through that list. There's a lot of them. Brian Robert, will you finally go hunting with Terrio this year? Probably not. Aggies are beating their chest yesterday about flipping an ex-LSU commitment. Oh, yeah, the safety, Bryce Anderson. You think the Saints could be the 2020 Pats, a transition season? I do. I think it's possible. I think the Saints are a 9-8 team, and maybe get to 10-7. I think though you get to 10, you're in the playoffs. 9-8 could get you there with an expanded postseason. It's just going to be strange with an extra game because honestly I haven't given a ton of thought to like how those tiebreakers are going to work whenever you're dealing with an extra game, right? Like, we could say, all right, you get to 10-6 for all those years. Like, you get to 10-6, you're in. Generally speaking, you're going to be in if you get to 10-6. I don't know that you could say that this year. Let's see, Charlie, seems odd you'd leave playing with Arch Manning as the number one wide receiver, going to throw you a ton of balls. Yeah, but Charlie, like that might be a thing with his family while they're moving. I really don't know. You're talking about A.J. Johnson, the receiver who's leaving Newman and going to finish his career in Florida. Stephen Cooper, is Cardell Thomas still on the team? He is. Just fighting for playing time. Merritt Mathern, number one punter. Brown Bear 765. Morning, Scone. U.S. won gold in basketball and silver in baseball last night. They lost the gold medal baseball game? Dang. Trivia, I can't wait until DeColdis hits campus to see what he can do. That name, I need him to be the greatest wide receiver. DeColdis Crawford, class of 2022. He does have to be great. He's just got to be. Let's see, Gulf South. If Miles comes back for a sixth and even possible seventh year, does he really get a shot at starting again? I feel that would hurt our quarterback recruiting and set LSU back. So it's not going to hurt any recruiting. I mean, you've already got Nussmeier. You've got Walker Howard, who's solid. You're going to sign a quarterback for 23. It might be the kid from Woodlawn, Collins, I think. So no, it's not going to hurt that. And look at your current predicament. I will never ever say that you can have too many quarterbacks, because of exactly what's happening right now. One guy transfers, another guy gets hurt. All of a sudden, you've got a sophomore and a freshman as your only scholarship quarterbacks. Like, that's unenviable. So, I mean, just look at last year. People wonder, well, why did you recruit two quarterbacks? Well, look at the situation that unfolded. Miles gets hurt, and then you ended up playing both freshmen. You can never have too many, man. If Miles wants to come back for a 6th, 7th year, come on. Trey Haydet, some good early season non-conference games. Georgia, Clemson, Ohio State, Oregon coming to mind. Absolutely. It's one of the better things that's happened in recent memory in college football is the sort of opening weekend, first 2 weekends in the non-conference. And listen, it really started because of the neutral site games, right? The kickoff classics, which Bama and Clemson did that one in '08, and that was the first one that really got it rolling. But those became more common, and then we started to see more and more teams schedule those we just became familiar with big games to start the season, and so we see more and more teams schedule them. So yeah, I mean, you do have some good ones. Auburn plays Penn State this year. Let's see. This year feels like both LSU and the Saints could be championship contenders or go about 500. Really intriguing. I don't think either's a championship contender, honestly. I think LSU has a wide gap of possibility. I think if everything goes LSU's way, I think they could get to 11. You're not beating Bama. But if everything goes your way, I think you get to 11. If nothing goes your way, I mean nothing. Like, you lose to Bama, you lose at Ole Miss, you lose all your toss-up games. A&M, Florida, Kentucky, Mississippi State, like you lose, I mean, you're 6-6, like nothing goes your way. So I think you just settle somewhere in the middle. I think I've said 9-3. It's, Deion Smith's another receiver to watch. He looks legit. It's just such a log jam, such a log jam to get all those guys on the field. But I tell you, I went through this with Hunt the other day. If y'all missed Hunt in studio, if you go back and look at the 2019, so they want to be the 2019 offense again, right? So if you really want to be the 2019 offense again, which I'm all for, these are players that had double-digit receptions in 2019. Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, Terrace Marshall, Thaddeus Moss, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, Racey McMath had 17, Derek Dillon had 15, Stephon Sullivan had 12, Ty Davis-Price had 10. You had 9 guys on the team. 9 guys that had double-digit receptions in 2019. Now, you played 15 games, but my point is there are going to be receptions to be had for everybody. So, I'm excited about seeing all of those guys get their opportunity. Neely, hello. Brent Torres, I think 2022 will be our year. So Brent, that's been my point of contention all along. It's been, I've said this for months. I think 2021 is very much like 2018. And you're actually starting to hear Ed Ogeron say that a good bit. Well, it reminds me of 2018, because it is. You're coming off a disappointing season. You have a good quarterback, some good leadership, tough schedule. You build this year for what could be the season where all the guys who were freshmen last year, Elias Ricks, Keyshawn Boutte, Jaquelin Roy, Coy Moore, Max Johnson, like all those guys that were freshmen last year, when they're juniors in 2022, that could be your blast-off team. So, but you got to set the stage for it this year. You got to get more depth on the offensive line. Merrick, when do we get a tour of the new patio? Not yet. When it's finished. Let's see, where am I? Ooh. All right, Josh Carlos, worried about not having Jackrabbit. If I have to watch Ken Crawley get burned all day, it'll be a long season. Josh, it just can't be. And I don't know if Prince Mukamara is the answer. My hunch with what they're doing here is they're waiting. Here's why you have to decide what you're going to do about like Xavier Howard. If you go make a trade for Xavier Howard, I mean, he wants to trade because he wants a new deal. So are you going to pay Xavier Howard $100 million? If you are, okay, but then that means you're not going to sign Marshawn Lattimore after the season. So you have to decide, are you hitching your wagon to Lattimore long-term or a guy like Howard? And to get Howard, not only do you have to give him the giant contract, but you're going to have to give up assets. And while you're rebuilding your roster, are you willing to give up assets like high draft picks? That's why it's tough. So they may wait until you see different rounds of cuts and then try to pick up a veteran player like that. And I'm with you on Ken Crowley, though. I think more likely you'd see P-Rob on the outside than Crowley, just my guess. I mean, because you got CJ and CJ and PJ, they can play nickel and dime roles if you need them to. Brian Poole is also really a nickel back, so you brought him in. He could give you some depth there. Jason, I love it how we finally have some good quarterbacks on campus, some awesome ones in the pipeline, for sure. Are we at quarterback school yet? Well, you did have a quarterback win a Heisman, and you've got the number one quarterback in the country for 2022 committed. So I think that's fair to say, yeah. I mean, I'm not joking. I think it's fair to say. You got a quarterback win a Heisman. Was the number one pick in the draft. Is baseball back now as an Olympic sport? It was this year, yeah. Let's see, Paul. Scone, you often mention on your show LSU aspires to be on Bama's level. Let's see the difference between 2021 Bama, 2020 LSU, and see how large the gap really is. Oh, you mean after winning a championship? Bro, Bama's not going to have any fall off. Bro, it's just... I mean, Nick Saban is the greatest coach in the history of football. I mean, he is. It's every era he has adapted however he's had to. And in the most difficult era to win, where you have to play more regular season games, you have to have a conference championship game, a playoff now, semifinal, a national championship game. Everyone's on TV. Everyone can recruit. Everyone has assets. You have scholarship limits, not only the 85, but also the hard cap 25 in a given year. It's never been harder. They keep putting more and more rules in place to try to limit Saban's dynasty, and he keeps winning. They're not going to have any fall off. I'm telling you, he's going to coach until the year 2472 when he wins his 350th championship. Midfield of Bryant-Denny Stadium is going to open up, and he'll be sucked to the depths of hell because he made a deal with the devil. That's what's going to happen. I'm convinced of it. You don't really, Paul, my point is you don't need to see this season play out to know the difference between LSU and Alabama as programs. You just have to understand or accept that Bama is its own entity. For as long as Nick is there, Bama is going to be what they are. So does that mean a 2019 won't happen occasionally? Sure, it did. Or, when or 18, we saw Trevor Lawrence and Clemson as a freshman step up and beat Bama in the championship game. But dude's also won 6 titles in 14 seasons there. I mean, and you can really throw out the first year because, it was just a transition year. Let's see. Out of the 3 quarterbacks, Max, Howard, or Nuss, which could be the best? I don't know. So I don't know that any of them become NFL stars. Which has the best career at LSU? That's a good question, and that's just a little presumptive. I'd probably go with Max just because he's the guy right now, and I think next year has the potential to be really good, and I think he'll be the quarterback next year. And to try to project, will Walker beat out Nussmeier? Maybe. There's too many unknowns further down down the line to say. Patrick Cason, hey Matt, surely the LSU A&M game will be at night. You know, Patrick, when the network, when CBS announced their doubleheaders, yes, because that's Iron Bowl. Iron Bowl will be the 2:30 game. LSU will be at night in Tiger Stadium, yes. Against A&M, yes. Robert Boudreaux, if you want more depth on the O-line, they need a better drug policy. You also just need to recruit and develop guys better. I mean, because let's not get twisted, Robert. All right, let's be real honest. Dare Rosenthal last year was a turnstile at left tackle. Let's just be honest. Let's call it what it is, man. As athletic as he is, he had a long way to go in development, right? Brent Torres, Matt, you're looking skinny, man. You've been going Brock. Well, I did ideal protein and lost about 20 pounds on top of the 10 that I lost when I got COVID because I couldn't eat anything. But man, I was up around 240 last year in football. Like at the end of football season last year, I was up around 240. It's like the biggest I'd ever been. So I needed to do something. So yeah, man, I've lost weight and maintained in that sort of 210 range. So, which I feel good here. You know, I mean, I could probably stand to lose a few more pounds, maybe tone up a little bit. But thank you. Joseph Norton, Matt, I'll trade you my Geis and Traquan autographs for your CP3 jersey. I'm going to pass on that. Kyle Milliken, if Saban was LSU's coach, would they win the Natty this year? Like if they just switched, rosters being what they are? No. I think I mean, just think about Nick's first year at LSU in 2000. How much he had to purge at LSU and change the culture. I mean, they lost to UAB. But you started to get buy-in. He ran off a lot of guys, started to get buy-in. I mean, it would be the same thing. Matthew Lusto, morning. How's that crypto portfolio feeling? I haven't checked this morning, Matthew, but last night I saw that Bitcoin pumped over 42. I was pumped about it. We need to get running it. Well, let me see. I'll check right now. Shoot. Bitcoin price. It's over 43. Here we go. Let's go. Dude, and ETH is over 3,000. That is so good. That is so good. Trey Haydett, more concerned with Saints receivers or corners? Corners. Because the reason, Trey, is Sean Payton will always find guys to catch the ball. If it's running backs or tight ends or Deontay Harris or Keith Kirkwood, like I know Kirk was not on the team, but you know my point. Like, he will always find guys and scheme guys open. I don't worry about pass catchers. I don't even think just as receivers. I just think pass catchers, because he will always. Alvin Kamara caught 81 passes each of his first 3 seasons in the league. They'll find guys to catch the ball. I am not confident in their corners. Let's see, Mike Tiger 24TB. Morning, Matt, and everyone in the chat. Thank you, man. Brent Torres, Matt, how do you deal answering the same question over and over and over again? Part of the job, man, but I don't mind. Because I'm you want to know why, Brent? Because I'm grateful. I'm grateful to every single person, the 56 watching right now on YouTube, the 45 watching on Facebook. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that the 100 people right now that are hanging out with me on a Saturday morning because they care enough to hang out with me and each other and ask questions. I'm pumped. So whatever y'all want to ask for, as long as y'all want to ask questions, I'll hang out. That's why. I'm just gratitude. Grateful that y'all keep coming back. Brett Dagro, when Texas and Oklahoma come to the SEC, do we have to go back to the Black Friday game against Arkansas? So, Brett, I'm going to guess that is unlikely. I think LSU has made it known they do not want to play on that date. So, I'm going to guess keep in mind also, you're going to alter your schedule format as well. Texas and Texas A&M used to play on, well, they would play on Thanksgiving. I wonder if they go back to that, or if that just stays the Egg Bowl. Anyway, I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say LSU is gonna cross their arms and kick and scream and make sure that doesn't happen. Ooh, Matthew Lusto. Bitcoin cracked 43 ETH over 3K. I'm so fired up about it. I made my morning. Brent Torres. Love it, man. That's why we love watching. Thank you, dude. Appreciate that, man. Back to Facebook. By the way, if you're on YouTube, please smash that like button. 55 watching, 36 likes. Let's get those likes up. Come on. Smash the like button. If you're watching on mobile, just X out of the chat, hit the thumbs up, and then just tap live chat again, and boom, we're right there. So thank you so much for hitting like. And on Facebook, if you would also like the page, share the post. Oh, and if you've not yet subscribed to the Matt Moscone channel on YouTube, please do that. Thank you, Janet. I appreciate that. Jesse McGraw, Matt, we got to go trade for a wide receiver. I disagree. I'm okay at receiver. Like I just trust Sean Payton offensively to scheme guys open. I'm big on Marquez Callaway. I know Deontay Harris is facing a suspension, but I think you'll also be able to find a vet. Chris Hogan is apparently playing really well right now. I think you'll be able to find a veteran wide receiver after cuts. I don't worry so much about receiver. I am so much more worried about cornerback and defensive tackle right now. Let's fire Sheesh Paul. All good, man. Let's see. Nick Saban and Tom Brady have made football a lot less exciting because of how good they are. I disagree. There's intrigue in having a villain. I mean, the NBA Finals this year, while I was excited to see some new blood, it's just not as interesting as when LeBron or Steph are there. Ryan Dixon, I know decommits happen, but is some of this a result of issues that are lingering around O's future with Title IX stuff? Not that I'm aware, Ryan. Not that I'm aware. Let's see. B. Bennett Bass. When Texas and Oklahoma move to the SEC West, will Bama and Auburn move to the East? So, Bennett, I think the overwhelming understanding is, excuse me, they're not going to go to it. They'll dump the East-West thing, and they'll go to pods. You'll have four-team pods. So you'll play the other 3 teams in your pod every year, and then you'll play 2 teams from the other 3 pods each year on a rotating basis. So in a 4-year cycle, you will play at every SEC stadium, and every team will play in your venue in a 4-year cycle. Ryan saw Jordy hired Keyshawn Booty. Is that part of NIL? Yes. And I can tell you that, I don't mind breaking this news. I got to deal with Mike Jones. So Mike Jones is going to be on AFR every week this year. So I'm excited to get that rolling. We'll start the week at the UCLA game, but I got Mike Jones coming on AFR every week. Same thing. Yeah. It's a great benefit, man. Orange Bloods and Texags hiring Longhorn and Aggies respectively. Fan sites hiring athletes via NIL will be the new norm. It's a great idea. Paul props Scone getting into crypto. Barrett Lee has done the same. Fans love the Black Friday date. Yeah, dude, look, by the way, on crypto, it just makes sense. Bitcoin is math. It's a math equation. It's going to win. And when you look at the number of corporations that are holding Bitcoin as an asset, and now sovereign nations doing the same, if Bitcoin becomes or is digital gold, as Michael Saylor said, if you just look at the market cap of gold, if that's where we're headed for Bitcoin, you're talking about $1 million Bitcoin. Where one Bitcoin is worth $1 million. And more people are going to get on board with, are going to learn and adopt. You got 1% of the world's population currently in cryptocurrency. It's still so brand new. and more will adopt it. So yeah, it's as intimidating as it looks for some, probably see like a $43,000 Bitcoin. I think most people also don't realize like you don't have to put $43,000 in. You could put $10 in. You can buy a piece of a Bitcoin. You can buy fractions of a Bitcoin and hold in your crypto wallet. Bro, like I don't keep my money in cash. As deflationary as the U.S. dollar is, especially right now, as inflationary, as much as the value of the dollar has been devalued because of inflation. I mean, of course, I'm gonna get my money out of cash. What good does having money sitting in a bank account do for you? Nothing. The value of your dollar, your spending power continues to decrease. Like, I don't want my money in cash. I keep enough money in my bank account, my fiat currency, to pay my mortgage, to pay off my credit card every month, and make sure I have what I need to pay all of our bills. Like, that's it. Everything else is in assets. It's in crypto. It's in assets. And when I need it, I pull it. But it's so obvious. Anyway, fans love the Black Friday date. Us LSU bros love it. It's the one game without the wives. I don't know, dude. I hate Black Friday. I hated that Arkansas 1:30 game. Most LSU fans hated that. That's why they got rid of it. Henry Gordon Bennett. Brennan has got to be one of the toughest players out there. In high school, he gashed himself in a game so deep the muscle was exposed. I don't know if you remember that, but that was Gabe Fertitta, who was on staff at Stanislaus at the time, told that story on AFR about Brennan getting gashed on his hand like that, and then he was like, just wrap it. They wrapped it. He finished the game, and then as soon as the game ended, he got straight in the ambulance and went to the hospital. He's a tough kid, ain't no doubt. Shoot, he played with a torn abdomen last year. Played half a game of football with a torn abdomen. Oh my God. Jason Aguilar, will Oklahoma and Texas still play the Red River rivalry when they come to the SEC? If they're in the same pod, which I assume they will be. Father John David III, as football gets closer, the biggest question, whiskey and wine plan. So it's going to be me and Rohan from Don Juan again. And I don't know if we'll call it whiskey and wine. I guess we will. But probably needs a rebrand. As football gets closer, I read that one. Jason Souls, what is the best case scenario, worst case for LSU? Best case, I would say 11-1. Worst case, I would say 5-7. And I don't think there's a team that has a bigger gap. Now, I don't think they're going 5-7. Y'all don't misunderstand me. I think they're 9-3. But if you're talking about what's realistic, I mean, they could lose to UCLA. They could lose to Mississippi State. They could go on a 4-game losing streak to Auburn, Kentucky, Florida, Ole Miss, Bama, A&M. I mean, you could. I don't think you will, but you could. You need to get Mike Jones to interview Mike Jones. I hate Brady in the NFC South. He finds a home at a Saints rival team. Brady can kick rocks. I agree, Brady can kick rocks. I never cared about Brady when he was in New England. I just sort of marveled at him from afar. Now that he's eliminating the Saints in the postseason and ended Drew Brees' career, I hate him. Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea and rot in hell. Ace Ventura. Whiskey and Wine Part 2. Daiquiris with Davey. I don't think we're going to do daiquiris. Whiskey and stogies, maybe. Whiskey and cigars. Whiskey and smoke. I don't know. Yeah, I'm not going to do the Mike Jones who drop. I'm just not. He's gotten that his whole life, and I'm just not going to do it. I know everybody hears it, thinks that, just... I mean, Jason, like, everybody hears and thinks I get it, but he's just gotten it his whole life, and I'm just not going to do it. Whiskey and strawberry daiquiri. Wine coolers with Roe. The reason we hang out with you on Saturday mornings is because you're good at what you do, and we value your vast knowledge of sports. Thank you, Ken. That is very kind. I do appreciate it. Let's see, Mike Tiger 24 TB. It'll be interesting if they keep the divisions the same and add Texas to one division. That's just not going to happen. I mean, because you can't have 8-team divisions and keep an equitable schedule. Like you can't. They're going to have to change the format. We all remember when the Saints had bad corners. Those were dark days. Definitely need to be more concerned about corners. Hey, man, for much of their history, they had bad corners, but certainly if you want to talk about the Jason David era or moving beyond and whiffing on Stanley Jean-Baptiste and those back-to-back-to-back 7-9 seasons, or 2012 when you had the worst pass defense in the history of the NFL. Wow, brutal. Let's see, do you miss watching LSU as a fan only, or do you enjoy covering the team more? Definitely miss watching as a fan. It is the biggest part of the job that people don't understand, is that when you do this job, because it was, I'd love to do your job, man. You get to cover LSU, and it is a blessing. I said, listen, you will never hear me complain. I'm so fortunate to do what I do, but the sacrifice is you give up your fandom. Like, Saturdays are not game days for me. They're not fun. They're work days. Doing the pregame show, watching a game with a notepad, taking notes so you can do a postgame show, charting things. Like, you have, in order to be objective, you have to play this mind game where you just suspend your fandom to be able to look objectively. And it's hard, man. I mean, none of y'all knew me when I was 18 to 25, and I was the most obnoxious fan you'd ever see in your life. I mean, I was that guy. If that version of me saw today's version of me, that version of me would kick today's version of me's ass. And be like, what happened to you? Seriously. So yeah, I do miss it. I do miss being able to go to the games, sit in the stands, and watch as a fan, and just cheer and be obnoxious and be irrational. Yeah, I do. I've been hearing that the team is in a better place this offseason they were last year because certain bad locker room guys are gone. Any insight to the problem? It was coaches. The players hated the coaches. They hated Bo Pelini. They hated Bill Bush. Bill Bush would curse him up and down, spit him out, and then never, ever try to lift him up. Bo Pelini was the last one in the building and the first one to leave. It was the coaches. And then last year, all the social justice stuff happened, and the players tried to make an appeal to the coaching staff and got summarily rejected by the head coach, which is why they marched to the president's building. The players hated the coaches last year. Let's see. Matthew Luster, not to get political, call your senators, tell them to support the Loomis Amendment to this infrastructure bill. Janet Yellen's trying to ruin crypto. So the thing is, Matthew, Janet Yellen or anybody cannot ruin crypto because cryptocurrency is decentralized. That's why they're terrified of it, because no government can control it. So if the collective world population adopts cryptocurrency and blockchain technology, governments can't regulate it because it's not theirs. And so, of course, they're terrified for because they want to have, obviously, their own currency to pay for things with legal tender and to spend obnoxiously. But if we all say, nope, like in the old days when people would trade chickens and goats as currency or rocks or whatever, I mean, it's no different. Just, I don't need the government to tell me what has value and what doesn't. I can make up my mind. DC Vlogs LSU, what's up? Frisky Whiskey. BB Bass, what's up? Switch to YouTube. Do media outlets have to pay players for weekly interviews now? I guess you don't have to. I mean, you could ask them, but I mean, yes, well, I'm paying Mike Jones to come on my show. I'm sure Jordy's paying Keishon Boutte. I mean, the Texags guys are paying a couple players a lot to come on their show. That's the benefit of NIL, man. and you get the content, you get exclusivity, you sell it, yeah. Do you think Miles Brennan had a better chance to beat Bama than Max Johnson? Miles Brennan's played 3 games, Max Johnson's played 2. Started. Whatever. I don't think either is going to beat Bama. The early line on that game is 21. I mean, y'all, I'm not saying don't have hope. That's what fans do. I mean, have hope and let's hope it goes well. It just ain't gonna, bro. It don't matter who's playing quarterback. Eric Wildrider, is there a number on this bull run where you'll start taking some profits? I'm very confident that we will get over 100K in this bull run. What you'll typically see at the end of a bull run is they'll blow the top off, right? You have the meteoric rise, and as soon as I see that, I'm out. Especially considering I just went through the 50% correction, right? I mean, that sucked. So, because I had not taken profits yet. I will this time. I'm looking for Ray Finkel and a clean pair of shorts. A whiskey in the quarterback, a little too wordy. Yell in the White House are trying to tax proof of stake blockchains, which is impossible and feasible, so it would drive the tech out of the U.S., wouldn't kill Bitcoin, would set back the U.S. Could set back the U.S., don't care. I mean, I do care, right? But I don't. I mean, that's their problem. The government's problem. DC Vlogs, LSU, you deserve 100K. Thank you, DC Vlogs. We'll go tell everybody in the world to subscribe to the channel. I would very much appreciate it. Where am I? Whiskey and whatever free swag is available. That's more like it. Jason Souls, as always, y'all, shout out to Brock. If you're on Facebook, Brock and Hudco are tagged in the post. After Hours Clinic, Brock is open. So if you need an orthopedist today or tomorrow, get by Brock, bypass the ER. Please bypass the ER because I don't think they're taking you in the ER anyway, given how overflowing they are. But of course, Hudco, you want a free, no obligation roof inspection. We'd love to come out to your place, hop up on the roof, give you a free, no obligation roofing inspection. If you have roof damage and we recommend a repair or a replacement, we can help you file with your insurance company. So you just chill. We'll take care of it. HUDCOroofing.com. Other than quarterback, what player has to have a breakout year for LSU to get 10 plus wins? You got to be better at linebacker and safety. You were terrible there last year. So Mike Jones and Major Burns, let's say that. Paul Batts, Bama in the SEC. Because, but one more thing, Jason, like LSU scored 32 a game last year. Like, or 30 a game last year, whatever it was. They allowed 35 a game. You just got to be better defensively. You scored last year. Bama and SEC East team fans already triggered about the pod concept, saying it'll destroy 90 years of tradition. Don't care. I don't care. I'll say that a million times over. Bama, Tennessee, Georgia, Auburn. The only fan bases that give a damn if that game is played every year. Nobody cares. Georgia and Notre Dame isn't a great rivalry. Was that an awesome football game in Athens a couple of years ago? Abso-freaking-lutely. Night game on CBS, packed stadium, fans going nuts, great game down to the wire. They haven't played that on. You know what people want? Competitive football games between good teams. That's what they want. I don't care if Georgia if Georgia and Auburn were both 2-8 going into that ball game. Would anybody give a good gosh darn if they were playing because it's the Deep South Soldiers rivalry? No. Be like, why am I watching these two garbage teams? Robert Ellis Boudreaux, what's your favorite whiskey you're drinking now? I tried Old Forester 1910. I really like that one. All the Old Foresters are really good. I mean, Robert, I've got a bajillion whiskeys, man. It's hard for me to say which one I like that I'm drinking now. Elijah Craig Toasted Barrel. It's the one I just saw on the show. Tried Willet Pot Still last night. As polarizing as the reviews are, I actually liked it. Tasted somewhat like a weaker Noah's Mill. Interesting. Ben Giat, you're saying you're not that guy, pal? I don't get it. Sorry, Ben. I wish I did, I'm sorry. Made a mint julep last night with Evan Williams 100 bottle and bond. Surprisingly, really good whiskey for only $15. You can find good whiskey for $15. I haven't had that Evan Williams bottle and bond. But Craig Dugas, like today, where whiskey trading can pay for college, a new car, and a condo. Good gosh darn, you're welcome. Paul Batts, that's why I love you, Scone. You keep brutal. Thank you. I love you too, Paul Batts. Jordan Mumphrey, smoking whiskey, maybe. Do need to come up with something. Where are we? Does HUDCO come to New Orleans? We will, Arian. Arian, shoot me an email, matt@hudcoroofing.com. Just let me know what kind of issue you're dealing with, and the address of the property, and we'll take a look. matt@hudcoroofing.com. Happy to take a look for you, man. Trivia, hard to set back crypto when banks and stores are setting up ways to accept and trade it. It's true. Now, I don't think I'll ever use Bitcoin as currency. It's just too valuable. Like, why would you trade an appreciating asset for a depreciating asset? Why would I buy groceries with Bitcoin when Bitcoin is going to continue to appreciate in value and my groceries are going to be gone after I eat them or use them or whatever? It doesn't make sense. Now, will there be other currencies? Like, will the U.S. come up with a U.S. digital currency? I think that's an inevitability. Could other currencies be accepted? Maybe. Scone, what's your favorite whiskey? All of them. Ryan Rohan. Not bad. Snagged a bottle of Old Elk Sheared. I guess that's weeded last night. It's a good one, bro. All right, I think we're done. We've been on here a hot minute, an hour and 13 minutes. Appreciate y'all for being here, man. But I think we are done. All right, as always, shout out to Brock and Hudco. Thanks for watching, y'all. Look at that, 55 watching on YouTube, 50 likes. I love it. Thank y'all so much. If anyone who hasn't hit the like button yet on YouTube, please smash that like button. I would greatly, greatly appreciate it. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so yet. Facebook, love y'all. Thanks for watching. If you would, like the page, share the post. Y'all know the drill. Respect and love. Y'all have a great Saturday. See you tomorrow for Morning Scone. Peace.